Hey guys, and welcome back to the Intern Bootcamp series. In today's video, we're going to talk about progress notes, how to organize them, how to make your life less miserable doing them, and also any tips and tricks to help you during rounds.
Alrighty guys, welcome back to Epic, and a very important part of being an intern is writing progress notes. And to be honest with all of you guys, I would always start the progress note the day before, particularly if, for instance, today, if someone had a cholecystectomy, which basically means a removal of the gallbladder, and I know that they're on the list and I will see them tomorrow, I would start the note from tonight. That helps you identify their medications, see a little bit more about them on the chart, and it saves you a ton of time the following day. And then the best way to be efficient on rounds, particularly if there are two interns involved, is one person can be writing notes or helping and carrying stuff for the rounds, whether it's ABDs, gauze, scissors, whatever it may be, and the other person can grab a computer and continue those notes in real time. So you don't always have to write notes in the patient rooms, you can literally type them out as you go. So over here, as you can see, it tells you what's the type of note and you write a progress note. And then this is my progress note template. I can definitely share it with you guys if you want. So you'll just have to comment below if you want my progress note. And it's a pretty basic note. I have little drop-down menus because I've realized as an intern that has made my life heaps easier. And then it starts off with interval to tell people what has changed about the patient, and then assessment and plan. And the plan is very detailed with all the different systems laid out. As you get more senior, you can have shorter plans.
The first thing I do is write down the past medical history of the patient, and you want to start with everything that is baseline. So here I'm just looking at what's automatically populated into the chart, and I'm just writing down everything this patient has. Hypothyroidism, COPD, seizures, type 2 diabetes. I love mentioning if the person is on insulin or is not on insulin, and for COPD, if they have any home oxygen requirements. We've got atrial fibrillation. I always love mentioning if the person is on baseline anticoagulation, and for heart failure, you want to write down the ejection fraction. I tend to like writing down what this patient came in with, particularly if it's an exploratory laparotomy, because we do that for multiple different reasons. So I would write down presented with an SBO, sometimes I write down the date, and is now status post exploratory laparotomy with a small bowel resection, or it includes something that was profound that was found during the case and what day the case was performed. And then the little highlight that you see on top where it says no surgery found, if there is actually a surgery that was performed, it automatically populates into the chart. And then I just write down if they're doing well post-operatively, if they're in the ICU, regular nursing floor, with or without bowel function. The interval area of the notes tells me what changed on a day-to-day basis. So if I write there was an acute event overnight, it means that there was an AMET response, or they had a heart attack or something profound. Under the pain well controlled, that's where I tend to write if the patient has a PCA at bedside, how many times they clicked on it. That tells me if their pain's well controlled or not well controlled. I tend to write NG tube output. I like writing colors either here or during the exam, and I always write if they're passing gas and if they've had return of bowel function, or if they're tolerating their diet well. If the patient has been admitted for multiple days in a row, I actually list down all the dates as you can see above, and I tend to write down what happened on those dates, and that makes life heaps easier when it comes to writing the discharge summary. Now just going through the plan, as you can see I've got my drop-down menu, and just really quickly going through it. For the first bit, I don't have the patient on a PCA, so I didn't click on it. You write down what type of diet the person's on, or you can choose it and type it out yourself. I write down exactly how much fluid the patient's on as a reminder to decrease it later. We tend to take the Foley out on post-op day 1, so that's what I've got down. No endocrinology issues, no bleeding issues. They completed the perioperative antibiotics. They've got 2 peripheral IVs, 1 drain, and they're on the regular nursing floor. Now I have a really generic exam as well. You can add stuff to it, but this is just a generic one for speed purposes, but I would add the JP, the color, if it's serous sanguinis, in that section. Next thing that's super important and possibly the most time-consuming one, depending on how complex the patient is the medication that they're on. And I love adding that to the progress note because it tells you what you're holding, why you're holding it. It tells you when you want to resume the different meds. It also makes your life easier if, for example, your patient is hypertensive and we're holding hypertensive meds, you know exactly where we went wrong. Metoprolol is another medication that we do not mess with. You want to continue it because the person can end up getting tachycardic if you hold that, and that is a really important thing to mention. If a patient's on insulin, I like writing their home regimen. We tend to hold everything except the insulin. Then the final part of my progress note is highlighting all the changes that we've done in a given day. I think it just makes life heaps easier, particularly when it's as long as this. You can see the day-to-day changes that have been made. This is the final product of what a progress note looks like after it's been signed. Unless something profound has occurred, I don't tend to prep the notes for the following day because I tend to copy forward. Keep in mind when you do copy forward notes, you need to be very careful when it comes to the interval events and also the exam. There are many times people copy forward a note, for instance, like ICU to regular nursing floor transfer, and they keep in the note that the patient is intubated and sedated, and that's an incorrect note. So I feel like if there's a profound change, if the patient's transferring, you want to prep their note beforehand. Here's what it looks like copied forward. And then I have a little cheat sheet thing that I've done. Those 3 buttons on the top right corner shows you what's been copied forward and what's new. And in my template, I have medication and dates automatically populated so I just don't make silly mistakes. So the light gray stuff that's copied forward. And that's how you can tell with consult notes or when you ask other services to comment on things as well.
Alrighty guys, hope that video helped. Next, we're gonna talk about discharge summaries, and comment below if you want any other videos within the series.